Hello, all you wonderful Wreckfest companions. I am here today bringing you a video on how to upgrade your gameplay, enhance it, do a little bit extra. That sounds stupid. I'm here to show you how to set up in-game recordings, your clutch, as well as making it so you can use manual and clutch without needing to actually sweat and try hard while trying to do it. So, we're gonna go into game here real quick. We're gonna go under our settings. We're gonna go under, first off, we're gonna go under controls, make sure you have your controller plugged in, and we'll select it from the top here. Set your clutch to the right joystick up. I don't think anything else in the game uses right stick up. You're not looking forward because you're doing that by default, so we'll go ahead and do that. And then under advanced, again, make sure your controller's selected. Make sure your brake and acceleration saturation are set to like 97%. This is just so in case your trigger doesn't fully hit the 100% actuation, you have a little bit of leeway so that can do so. And make sure your clutch saturation is set to 15%. That way when you go to test your throttle, you can get to 100%, test your brake, you can get to 100%, and when you test your clutch, you barely have to move that joystick for it to reach 100%. That's what you want there, right? So those are the in-game settings that we really need to just make sure are in place. So we'll just go back out to the main menu here. The next thing we want in place, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up Steam here, is we're gonna need to do a couple things. First, we're gonna make sure that Steam recognizes our controller, and then we're gonna set up some controller settings within Steam. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll open up the Steam settings first. We'll go under controller here, make sure your controller is being detected, and we're gonna go under advanced settings. In here, we wanna make sure that this idle setting is set to never. It should be, but if it's not, make sure it is. Next thing, enable Steam input for, I have an Xbox controller, so I'm gonna turn that on. If you have a PlayStation controller, Switch controller, whatever, you can adjust these accordingly to turn them on. And you also want to enable guide button chords for controllers. And I personally installed this driver because I have an Xbox controller. I don't know if it really does anything, but I figured it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. That should be all for your actual controller setup here. At least in the advanced settings. So we'll back out of here and we're gonna go under game recording now. Game recording, we're gonna want to, personally I would say record in background, but if you don't have the disk space, you can set it to manually to turn it on and off when you want to. You're going to want to set the length to about 60 minutes because that's how long the events usually take. They're usually between 45 and 60 minutes. It's always better to err on the side of caution and make it a little longer. So I have mine set to 60. We'll confirm that up. For clip length, here you can adjust to the time in seconds, right? You can set it to 15 seconds. You can set it to 30 seconds. I wouldn't go any less than 15 seconds. That way you at least get the lead up to the incident that you're clipping or awesome hit that you're clipping, whatever your reasoning for setting this up is. And the other thing we want to do is you can change where it saves if you want. If you have an NVIDIA GPU, make sure you turn these on. You can set your frame rate to 60 or 30 if your hardware is not as good. This is your clip resolution and recording resolution. I have mine set to 1440p. If your computer's not as powerful, 1080p or even 720p. It'll get the job done. You can see what happens, right? Make sure your microphone recording's turned off. We don't need to hear what you're babbling about. And in here, I guess I forgot to mention it, you can set the quality of the recording. Obviously, ultra, least compression, most disk space, gonna look the best. The farther you go down the list, it's gonna look a little worse, take up less space, be more compressed. It's, you know, whatever you can handle on your computer. So that should all be good for that. And next we're gonna go out of here. We're gonna click the controller button over here, right? That's gonna open up the controller settings. We're going to need to enable Steam input. I believe it's going to automatically, because we clicked it under Wreckfest, it's gonna open up with the official layout for Wreckfest here. We will want to edit this layout. Here's all the standard buttons. I'm gonna make this a little bigger so we don't have to scroll. I personally use X to shift up and A to shift down. Some people might use X and B, you know, whatever. Some people might even use the bumpers to shift still. That's okay. Just adjust this accordingly to whatever you use to shift up and down in the game. What we're going to want to do is we're going to add an emulated press to your shift button so it presses your clutch prior to you actually shifting. So for me, the A button, we're going to click the cog, add an extra command, and in this screen, we went ahead, remember how we set the clutch in game to, the clutch in game to right stick up for your controller. Right stick up here. We're going to do the same thing in here. So we're going to select right stick up. And we're going to do that same thing for the shift down button. Add an extra command, right stick up. You want to do these under the two buttons that you use to shift. If you use different buttons, adjust them accordingly. If you use your bumpers, you can do the same thing over here. Just add an extra command, set it to your right stick up. And, I need to set mine back up here again. And the last thing you want to do is we need to add a small delay to the shift button so that way you are 100% certain that the clutch is actually being applied. So to do that, we're just going to click the A button, cog, go into settings, drag this up to about 35 milliseconds, I would say is a good one. And then you're going to do that same thing for your shift down button. You're going to click the cog, go into the settings, drag it up to 35, click close. That now will allow you to use manual with clutch in the game, and you won't actually need to worry about pressing the clutch at all. It'll do it for you automatically. Great little feature. Some people might say it's cheating, but Steam allows you to do it, so it is what it is. You argue amongst yourself. The last thing we want to do is, after we had set up our game recording, we want to make sure we can either put a marker on the timeline of the recording or actually set a clip from what you're recording. So to do that, I like using the D-pad. If you want to use a trigger or a joystick or some other button in this menu, you can go ahead and do that. I just like D-pad because it's right by my thumb. It's easy to reach. So I'm going to click on D-pad up here to change the binding of it. And under System, here you have the toggle manual recording if you want to be able to turn it on and off. Add a timeline marker, create a clip. I'm going to add a timeline marker because I like to manually go back afterwards, rewatch it, and see if it's worth clipping. But you can, if you just want to create clips all day, by all means, set it to that. I'm going to set my D-pad down to create a clip though, because if I do find something that I know just for a fact, I don't need to review it and I just want it clipped out, boom, it's there, I can click that button. That is it though. That should have everything set up for you to be able to shift, manual, clutch in game, make sure your key bindings are good in game, as well as recording, creating clips, or adding timelines. You should be on par, should be more competitive, everything should be in place for you to be able to do what you need to do. And if you got any questions, go ahead and hit me up in Discord. All right, catch you guys later.